Hey guys, it's Graham. What's cracking? Uh, Bit of a different type of video today. I took my kids to see Jurassic World 4, Jurassic 7 overall, on the weekend, and I had a fun time. I got kind of blindsided by a memory as we were walking out of the door to the car, and my brain just kind of flashed back to 1997. I was in seventh grade, and I was so stoked to go to the theaters that Friday at the end of school to see The Lost World. My brothers and I had been reading the books for a couple of years, and we were so stoked for that movie. We bought all the toys in '93 when the first movie came out. We rode our bikes to Target in Vegas in the middle of the summer, melting our brains out, and to get Jurassic Park toys. Like it was just you could not imagine the excitement level. And even 4 years later, when we were in middle school, we were still stoked to go see this movie. And I remember my dad taking both my brothers and me. My sister was still kind of too young, and going to see The Lost World, and just absolutely loved it. Now, granted, as the years have gone by, I look back at it with adult eyes. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of flaws in this movie, but whatever. Like, 12-year-old me is always going to love that because there's that principle of whatever you loved when you're 12 is just cool forever. Um, it did kind of bug me at the time when my dad said that he didn't think it was that good, and he was he had a different perspective than me. He was an adult. He had a different appreciation, different tastes, but we had a fun time going together. I've been careful since we got out of the movie to not complain to my kids about the things that I thought were flawed about Jurassic World Rebirth. Like I keep like it's kind of a mouthful of a title. It's weird. Have been careful not to throw it at them because my boys have had nothing but great things to say about it. They're in that same target age range, and I don't want them to become disillusioned cynics. There are far too many of those in the world. Um, Kids that are inspired by things and that become obsessed with fictional properties like that are constantly imagining those things. Um, I think their imagination is healthier for it, and you can become unhealthily obsessed with something. That's kind of a different discussion. But I'd rather them just know the feeling of enjoying something, flaws and all, and they can become skilled critics of it later on. Both of my boys have expressed a desire to write something. My youngest son is writing this completely bonkers concept he's told me about a couple of times, and I'm encouraging him to do it. He'll figure out the hard parts of being self-critical later on as he gets more serious. For now, he needs to know the joy of just doing something because he enjoys doing it. He'll have the rest of his life to have people hanging on and telling him that he's wrong for enjoying something. Is there such thing as objectively bad art? I think so. Your mileage may vary. Um, but generally speaking, I think things are better than they have been for a while, and I've become much more, I guess, defensive when people get cynical about things that they could very easily enjoy, almost like it's still in vogue to be pro anti. This is on my mind because of two contrasting experiences today. I had a really dumb route, and so I ended up with a lot of downtime in between stops just because I kept getting too far ahead. And so on one of them, when I had half an hour of delay because the freaking customer wouldn't answer the door, I got on to Twitter and I was just checking news, and people were talking about something or other that James Gunn or his brother said about Superman being an immigrant, and they had some kind of political commentary to make. I didn't look too much into the quote because honestly, it's not going to be anything new. People have been eager to claim Superman for whatever their ideology is for years now. The lefties want to make a big, oh, poor immigrant thing out of it. The righties want to make a, oh, but he's super American out of it. Jewish fans want to emphasize the fact that he's got his roots in Judaism, that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster were both Jewish creators, and that they drew heavily on the story of Moses for inspiration for Superman back in the 30s. Like, there's a little bit of truth to all of that, but at the end of the day, like, be there for the character, be there for the stories, be there for the art. Don't be there as a fake fan, a fake enjoyer of Superman, so that you can be louder about whatever your stupid ideology is. Nobody cares about any of that. That's not why we get into fandom. We get in because we enjoy these things, because they inspire us. Superman stories are supposed to be stories about heroism. Zack Snyder wanted to go into a different direction, but there were even still elements of it that he got right. He wanted to be a little bit, I don't know, darker and more gothic, and try to take the character in a different direction and show him killing people and whatever. It's like, not that Superman has to be all like sunshine and flowers and rainbows, but he is supposed to be a beacon of light in a world that desperately needs one. There may be room for a type of story where he starts out darker, but remembers what his real potential is, what his powers are, what heroism is. A hero is somebody who does what he can. And when you are Superman, you can do more than anyone else. The difference then becomes your ideology, the thing that you try to be for the world, the thing that you try to inspire them to do. I like the trailers for this movie. I'm optimistic that it's going to be a good time. I'm going to take my son to see it this weekend. I can't take my boys to the movies every weekend, but they've decided to split the difference on Superman and Fantastic Four, so I'm going to take one to one and one to the other, and I'm going to continue making good memories of enjoying things with my kids. And I'm getting just more and more annoyed with the people who decide to be perpetually cynical and perpetually negative. And they'll see one quote that one actor says, and, oh, Superman is an immigrant story, and it's just like what's happening in Los Angeles. Just hit the mute button. It's like the old joke about cyberbullying. How are you going to get cyberbullied? Just put the phone down and go outside. There are exceptions to that. Great, fantastic. I don't give a damn what they are. Negativity is a choice, 95 times out of 100. And I'm done being surrounded by people who choose that. This has been a long time coming. Geez, 20 years ago when Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest was coming out, I was extremely hyped for that movie. And I still had friends that are like, what are you talking about? It's going to suck. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. I hate that mentality of just automatically shoot from the hip. Oh, nope, this is going to suck. That's going to suck. Once you've lost the ability to enjoy something, and again, yes, there are things that are objectively bad, all right? But switching to the default position of this sucks, this is bad, it's going to be bad, everything's going to be bad, everything's always going to be bad, you have nothing to offer. And I'll have none of that attitude. It's not what I'm doing here. It's not why I read what I read or watch what I watch. I'm always looking after something, or looking for something that I can enjoy and that I can share with you guys here. The contrast to the griping and the moaning on I almost said something else on Twitter about Superman was a video that I listened to today from Perch, where he was interviewing Mark Millar. A couple of weeks ago, he interviewed John Romita Jr., who's a lifelong comic book artist. So was his father, John Sr. And he was talking about this Mark Millar book, Romita was, that he got hired to illustrate, called Psychic Sam. And it was immediately a book after my own heart, because the character is basically like a superhero trucker. It's an oversimplification, but he's a trucker, and he becomes kind of a Punisher-style hero because he gets these psychic visions of people who are going to be hurt, and only he can save them. It's like, okay, tight. And just hearing how much Romita was in love with this project and going into detail about his approach to the art side of it, like there was an authenticity to that you can't fake. This is an artist who loves his work, and that love is going to come through the work. Now, granted, there are artists who love their work who still make something that I'm not going to enjoy, and that's my job to sniff that out ahead of time. But the way that he talked about this book sold me on it. I went and backed it on Kickstarter. I think it wraps up soon. Well, today Perch was interviewing Mark Millar, who was the writer for that book, and same thing. Like, it's just so refreshing to listen to somebody talk about something that they love. And Mark Millar is a guy who's also got a lot of connections in cinema and with Netflix and everything. He's had a couple of shows adapted from his comics and whatnot. Yeah, I'm familiar with him mostly by name. I've read a couple of his books. I think I read Jupiter's Legacy Volume 1, and then earlier this year I read Superman Red Son. Um, but again, like, he's another real one. He is a superb creative talent who you can tell by the way he talks about things that he just loves art. And especially when he went to bat for comics being a wonderful medium in their own right. That's something that Zach was on several years ago. And Mark Millar touched on that here. He goes, there were a lot of people that when comic book movies, specifically superhero movies, specifically Marvel movies, were super popular, a lot of fake geeks came in to grift off of it, but they weren't there for comics or for the superhero characters. They were there to kind of elevate their own profile and try to build up their own fandom. And now that, well, we've had a couple of years of those movies not being so popular or so good, they've moved on to other things. Meanwhile, the people that have always loved the medium, were still there. This is why I still follow guys like Zach and Perch, because these are dudes that have been fans of this stuff for 30 or 40 years. I've generally, peripherally been a fan of comics. I bought trade paperbacks and graphic novels here and there throughout my life. But I only got a pull file for myself for the first time 2 years ago. It's been a fantastic ride. I love going to the comic book shop every week and finding something new to pick up. It's a supplement to my larger reading habits, but I also love great artwork. I always have. I've always loved a good cover, and I'm especially a sucker for a good illustrated novel. Those are fewer and farther between, and I've got to kind of scale back my own operations on that front. It's just hard to be able to produce them regularly enough and to get them to sell. I still love them, but if I'm ever going to get out of the truck and be a full-time creator, I've got to find a way to produce faster and to market better, but that's besides the point. At the end of the day, I'm in this for the love of the game. I've always been a reader, and I've been a writer ever since I was 8. I've been an artist for as long as I can remember. I've always been getting better at all of those things. And I just love surrounding myself with people who have that same passion for what they make and what they consume. And I'm at the point where I have absolutely zero patience for people who are in the game just to crap on it. I largely only care about the opinions of people who make things, and even then, only half the time. Because I know plenty of people who make things and make stuff that sucks, or maybe they make books and I just don't read them, that have opinions that I don't care about. Put the phone down, hit mute, whatever. If you like something, screw the haters. I'm going to go see Superman in a couple of days. On that note, I'll probably have to stay off of YouTube for the next couple of days just because I'm recording this on the 8th, and tonight is that Amazon Fandango advanced screening. There wasn't one in my city that I was able to go see, and I think there was one, but it would have conflicted with work, blah blah blah. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to go see it on Saturday with my boy. But in addition to going and seeing something that I'm confident I'm gonna have a fun time with, I get to go make a great memory with my son, and I get to see him enjoy something. And I'm gonna be very careful about. Suppose there is something I don't like about it, whatever. I'm going to be very careful about how I approach that until he's older and maybe the world has jaded him. I'm not going to be the one to do that. If he finds something that he enjoys, I'm going to cultivate that the same way that I would cultivate it for myself. In summary, as I have said for a while now, and Abed from Community said it best, I guess I just like liking things. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for listening. Drive safe. See you out there.